Jiho Park stood at the massive window, looking out at the stars. The transport ship was about to dock at the Galactic Academy. He tried to stay calm, but his heart beat fast. This was the first time humans would train with alien species from across the galaxy. "Nervous?" asked Sunmi Kang as she walked up beside him. Her black hair was tied back in a neat bun, and her uniform was perfectly pressed. Jiho nodded. "A little, aren't you?" Sunmi grinned. "No, I'm excited. We get to show these aliens what humans can do." A deep voice came from behind them. "That's if they don't kick us out on the first day." They turned to see Hyun Kim, the tallest and strongest of the 4 human cadets. His broad shoulders filled his uniform impressively. "They won't kick us out," said Jiho. "Earth needs this alliance." The 4th human, Taik Lee, was sitting quietly, in the corner, watching everything. He rarely spoke, but when he did, everyone listened. "They call Earth a death world," Taik said softly. "To them, we're the monsters." The ship shuddered as it docked with the space station. A mechanical voice announced, "Welcome to the Galactic Coalition Academy. Human cadets prepare for orientation." The Academy was enormous. The main hall alone could fit several Earth buildings inside it. Hundreds of alien cadets moved around, coming from over 50 different planets. Jiho tried not to stare, but it was difficult. Some aliens had 4 arms. Others had scaled skin or feathers. Some floated instead of walked, but all of them stared at the humans. "Those are the Deathworlders," whispered one blue-skinned alien to another. "I heard they can survive poison, radiation, and extreme temperatures," said another. "They evolved with predators. They're dangerous." Jiho pretended not to hear. He and the other humans followed their guide, a tall insect-like alien named Triz, to the orientation hall. Commander Ekvar stood on the stage. He was a Valaxian, with gray skin and eyes that seemed too large for his face. He did not look happy to see the humans. "Welcome, cadets," he said. "You are the best your planets have to offer. You will train together, learn together, and someday defend the galaxy together," his large eyes fixed on the humans. "Even those from unusual worlds." The first week was hard. The air in the academy was thin for humans, and the temperature was cold. Jiho often felt dizzy, and his fingers were numb. "The environmental controls are set for the comfort of most species," explained Triz when Jiho asked about it. "Humans are unusual. Your comfort range is not the same as most civilized species." Jiho bit his tongue to stop himself from arguing. Being called uncivilized was becoming common. In physical training, the humans surprised everyone. When the alien cadets ran 1 lap and were exhausted, the humans could run 5. When the aliens lifted weights that were heavy for them, Hyun lifted 3 times as much. "It's because Earth's gravity is stronger than most home planets," Sunmi explained to a curious 4-armed Centaurian named Velisk. "And we evolved to run from predators." Velisk's eyes widened. "You had creatures that hunted you? How terrifying." The academic classes were different. There, the aliens were far ahead. They understood space travel, quantum physics, and galactic politics much better than the humans. Jiho struggled to keep up, studying late into the night while his roommate, a gas-breathing alien named Dorth, watched in confusion. "Why do you not sleep?" Dorth asked one night. "Humans can go without sleep for a while," Jiho explained. "On Earth, sometimes we had to stay awake to watch for dangers." Dorth moved away slightly. "Deathworlders are strange." The first major training exercise came 3 weeks later. The cadets were divided into mixed teams for a survival simulation. Jiho was placed with Velisk, a crystal-skinned alien named Zal, and a floating jellyfish-like creature called Mubik. Commander Ekvar briefed them coldly. "Your shuttle has crashed on an uninhabited planet. You must reach the rescue beacon 15 kilometers away. The simulation will include various environmental challenges." As they entered the massive simulation chamber, Jiho saw the environment was a rocky, desert-like landscape. The artificial sun beat down harshly. "The temperature is rising," said Zal, after an hour of walking. The crystal alien was beginning to look dull. "I cannot function in extreme heat." Mubik was also struggling, its tentacles drooping. Only Velisk and Jiho seemed okay. "We need shelter," Jiho said. He looked around and spotted a cave in the distance. There. The team changed direction, but halfway to the cave, the ground began to shake. Jiho looked up to see rocks falling from the cliffs above. "Avalanche!" he shouted. Without thinking, he pushed Zal out of the way of a falling boulder. The crystal alien was surprisingly light. Velisk was helping Mubik move faster, but a large rock was about to hit them. Jiho ran over and used his body to shield them. The simulated rock hit his back hard, and he fell to his knees in pain. "You're damaged," Velisk said in alarm. Jiho stood up, wincing. "I'm fine. Humans heal quickly. Let's keep moving." They reached the cave, and Jiho helped create a cooling system using their equipment. The alien cadets watched in surprise as he worked through his pain. "Why did you protect us?" Zal asked. "You could have reached safety alone." "That's not how humans work," Jiho said. "We protect our team." When the simulation ended abruptly, Commander Ekvar was waiting. "Cadet Park," he said harshly. "Your actions were reckless and dangerous." Jiho stood at attention. "Sir? You risked your life unnecessarily. The simulation rocks were not programmed to cause serious damage to your teammates." "With respect." "Sir, I didn't know that. I reacted as I would in a real situation." Ekvar's large eyes narrowed. "That's exactly the problem with Deathworlders. You act without thinking. This is not Earth, where wild reactions might save you from predators. This is the Galactic Academy, where discipline and protocol matter." Jiho felt his face grow hot. "Sir, I was protecting my team." "Your team doesn't need protection from a simulation," Ekvar shouted. Then he composed himself. "You will report for disciplinary action tomorrow." As the commander walked away, Velisk approached Jiho. "Our species would have been seriously injured by those rocks," the four-armed alien said quietly. "What you did was brave." Zal nodded. "I have never seen someone put themselves in danger for others before. It is not logical." Jiho looked at his teammates in surprise. "It's what humans do. We protect each other. That's how we survived Earth." That night, stories spread through the academy about the human who had risked himself to save aliens who had been cold to him. Some cadets were puzzled, others were curious. A few were afraid, but everyone was talking about the Deathworlders and the strange things they did. And everyone was beginning to learn that humans from Earth were unlike any species they had met before. A month had passed since Jiho's incident in the simulation. The story had spread throughout the academy. Some alien cadets now looked at the humans with new interest rather than fear. Jiho sat in the dining hall with Sunmi and Hyun. The food was bland, made to be safe for all species. Jiho missed spicy Korean food from home. "Look who's coming," Hyun said, nodding toward the entrance. Velisk, the four-armed Centaurian, was walking toward them. Behind him were two other aliens, including Zal, the crystal being from Jiho's simulation team. "May we join you?" Velisk asked. Sunmi smiled brightly. "Of course." As they sat, Jiho noticed other cadets watching with surprise. Humans and aliens rarely mixed during free time. "We have survival training tomorrow," Velisk said. "I hoped you might share some advice." Before Jiho could answer, a voice came over the speakers. "All cadets report to the main hall immediately." Director Corbin stood on the stage. He was tall and thin with pale blue skin. His eyes were cold as he looked over the gathered cadets. "Tomorrow's survival training will be more challenging than planned," he announced. "Recent reports suggest that coalition border planets face new threats. You must be ready for anything." As they left the hall, Tyke Lee caught up to Jiho and the others. He rarely joined them, preferring to watch and listen from a distance. "The training has been made harder 3 times since we arrived," Tyke said, quietly. "Only after humans showed we could handle it." Jiho frowned. "You think someone is testing us specifically?" "Or trying to make us fail," Tyke replied. The survival training area was a massive dome filled with dense forest. The air was thick with fog, and strange noises came from the trees. "Your task is simple," Commander Ekvar told the mixed teams. "Reach the extraction point within 48 hours. You will face environmental hazards and wildlife. Work together." Jiho's team included Sunmi, Velisk, and a floating orb-like alien named Plex, who communicated through changing colors and patterns. They moved carefully through the forest. The ground was muddy, and the fog made it hard to see. "Temperature dropping," Sunmi said, checking her equipment. "Might be dangerous for some species." Velisk was already shivering, his 4 arms wrapped around his body. "Centaurians struggle in cold," he admitted. "Our homeworld is warm." Jiho took off his outer jacket and handed it to Velisk. "Take this." "But you'll be cold," Velisk protested. Jiho smiled. "Humans can handle a wide range of temperatures. It's one of our adaptations." As night fell, they made camp. Jiho and Sunmi took turns staying awake to keep watch while the aliens slept. "How can you function without rest?" Plex flashed in patterns of blue and yellow. "On Earth, we evolved to go without sleep when needed," Sunmi explained. "Predators might attack at night, so someone had to stay alert." Plex's color darkened. "My species sleeps in groups of thousands. We never needed to watch for danger." On the second day, they faced their first real challenge. A simulated flash flood rushed through the valley they were crossing. The water rose quickly, cold and powerful. Plectido began to panic, his colors flashing wildly. "My species cannot swim! We float in air, not water!" The current was already pulling at them. Velisk tried to help Plex, but was struggling himself. Sunmi was swept off her feet. Jiho dove into the rushing water without hesitation. He fought against the current to reach Sunmi. Then together they helped Velisk and Plex. "Hold on to me!" Jiho shouted, letting Plex cling to his back. They battled the flood for 20 minutes before reaching higher ground. The aliens were shaking and exhausted, but the humans seemed almost energized by the challenge. "How can you be so calm?" Velisk asked, watching Jiho help Sunmi wring water from her clothes. "Earth has floods, storms, earthquakes," Sunmi explained. "Our world tried to kill us regularly. We adapted." That night, they found shelter in a cave. Sunmi pulled out some emergency rations from her pack. Among them was a small red fruit she had brought from Earth. "What is that?" Velisk asked. "A chili pepper," Sunmi said. "Want to try it?" She broke off a tiny piece for Velisk, who put it in his mouth. Immediately, his eyes bulged, and he spat it out, gasping. "Poison!" he cried. Sunmi laughed. "No, just spicy. Humans eat these for fun." "For fun?" Plex flashed rapidly in disbelief. Jiho nodded. "Most earth plants develop toxins to avoid being eaten. Humans evolved to tolerate them. Some even taste good to us." Sunmi bit into the pepper, enjoying it as the aliens watched in horror. Meanwhile, in another part of the forest, Hyun and Tyke were facing their own challenges with their alien team. When one of their teammates collapsed from exhaustion, Hyun simply picked the alien up and carried it, despite it being nearly his own size. "How long can you continue like that?" asked a slender, winged alien. "Hours if needed," Hyun answered. "On Earth, I was a rescue worker, carried people out of collapsed buildings. Later, when they needed to rest, no one volunteered to stay awake as guard." "I'll do it," Tyke said. "I don't need much sleep." "None of you sleep?" the winged alien asked in disbelief. "We sleep," Tyke explained, "but humans can go without it for days if necessary." We take turns. The next morning, as the teams continued toward the extraction point, something went wrong. The forest's artificial weather system malfunctioned. Instead of a light rain, a severe storm began, with high winds and dangerous lightning. Attention. All cadets, came Commander Ekvar's voice over their communicators. The exercise is canceled due to technical failures. Proceed to the nearest emergency exit. But as Jiho's team tried to navigate to safety, a massive tree crashed down, blocking their path. Worse, the falling tree damaged part of the dome's structure. Real alarms began to sound. This was no longer a simulation. Emergency protocols activated, announced a mechanical voice. Containment breaches detected. All personnel evacuate immediately. Velisk looked at the damaged section in horror. If the environmental seal breaks completely, the station's atmosphere could be compromised. Jiho studied the situation quickly. We can't go around. We need to move this tree. Impossible, Plex flashed. Too heavy. Sunmi was already examining the tree. We might be able to cut through it with our tools. That would take too long, Jiho said. He looked at Hyun's team, which had just caught up to them. Hyun nodded, understanding without words. Everyone, stand back. The aliens watched in amazement. As the two human men positioned themselves at one end of the massive tree trunk, their muscles strained as they began to lift. What are you doing? Commander Ekvar's voice came through the communicator. Wait for emergency teams! But the humans didn't stop. With a tremendous effort, they managed to move the tree just enough to create a path. Go! Jiho shouted to the aliens. Get through! As the teams rushed to safety, Taek hung back. His eyes were fixed on a control panel near the damaged section. Someone sabotaged the weather system, he said quietly to Jiho. This wasn't an accident. Jiho looked at him sharply. Are you sure? Taek nodded. I saw the access logs on the emergency display. Someone used Director Corbin's credentials to override the safety protocols. As they finally made it to the emergency exit, Jiho realized that their challenges at the academy were more dangerous than he had thought. Someone powerful didn't want humans to succeed and was willing to put lives at risk to make sure they failed. The academy was buzzing with talk about the survival training accident. Jiho and Taek had told Commander Ekvar about the possible sabotage, but they weren't sure he believed them. We have no proof that Director Corbin was involved, Ekvar had said. His credentials could have been stolen. Now, 2 days later, the 4 human cadets sat together in Jiho's room, speaking quietly. Someone wants us to fail, Hyun said, his large hands clenched into fists. Or worse, Taek added. That accident could have killed people. Sunmi looked worried. We need more information. I wish we could contact Earth. Jiho thought for a moment. Maybe we can. He pulled out a small device from under his bed. My sister Min gave me this before I left. It can send messages through subspace directly to her. That's against Academy rules, Taek said, but he didn't look disapproving. Jiho nodded. I know, but we need help. He sent a message to his sister, asking her to look into Director Corbin and any possible anti-human feelings in the coalition leadership. The next day, Ambassador Erlon arrived at the academy. He was tall and thin with pale skin that seemed to glow slightly. His 6 fingers on each hand tapped constantly against his ceremonial robes as he addressed all the cadets. I am here to evaluate the human integration program, he announced. Some members of the coalition have concerns about including Deathworlders in our military. Jiho noticed how the ambassador's eyes lingered on the human cadets with obvious distaste. After the speech, classes resumed as normal. Jiho was in advanced navigation when the alarms began to sound. Warning, orbital stability compromised. This is not a drill. All personnel report to emergency stations. The room erupted in panic. The instructor tried to maintain order, but fear was spreading fast. What's happening? Asked Velisk, who shared the class with Jiho. The answer came over the station wide. Communication system. The Academy station has been knocked out of stable orbit. We are implementing emergency protocols to restore our position. Jiho felt the slight change in gravity as the massive space station shifted. Something was very wrong. He met the other humans in the corridor as they rushed to their assigned emergency stations. "This is no accident," Tyke said quietly. They reached the central control hub where Commander Ekvar was directing emergency operations. His normally composed face showed stress. "We've lost power to the stabilizers," an alien technician reported. "We're calculating time until critical orbit decay." "How long?" Ekvar demanded. 6 hours, maybe less." Jiho looked at the readouts. The station was slowly but steadily falling toward the planet below. Without stabilizers, it would eventually burn up in the atmosphere. Sunmi studied the technical diagrams on the screens. "The main power couplings have been severed," she said. "Someone did this deliberately." Commander Ekvar turned to her. "Can you fix it?" Before she could answer, another alarm sounded. "Toxic atmosphere detected in residential sections," announced the computer. "Containment failing." Ekvar's face paled. "The atmospheric recyclers must have failed when we lost power. Toxic gases are backing up into the living quarters." "There are still cadets there," Hyun said. "We can't reach them," Ekvar replied. "The gases are lethal to most species." Jiho looked at his fellow humans. "But maybe not to us." The residential section was filled with greenish fog when the humans entered, wearing simple filter masks. While the gas would kill most aliens almost instantly, humans could withstand it for short periods. "The masks won't protect us for long," Sunmi warned. 20 minutes at most." They split up, checking each room for trapped cadets. Jiho found 3 young aliens huddled in a corner, barely conscious. "Come with me," he said, helping them up. "Hold your breath as much as you can." Hyun found more cadets and simply carried 2 under each arm. Tyke and Sunmi guided others toward the exits. As they worked, Jiho's eyes and lungs burned. The mask wasn't perfect, but he kept going, room after room. When they finally brought the last group to safety, medical teams rushed to treat the affected aliens. Jiho and the other humans were coughing and wheezing, but they refused treatment. "Help them first," Jiho insisted, pointing to the aliens. "We can handle it." Ambassador Erlon watched with wide eyes. "You entered an atmosphere that would kill most species within seconds," he said. "Why would you take such a risk for others?" "Because we could," Hyun said simply. "On Earth, we learned to help each other survive." While the medical teams worked, Sunmi approached Commander Ekvar. "I think I can fix the stabilizers, but I need to reach the main engineering level." "That's too dangerous," Ekvar said. "The temperatures there will be extreme with the cooling systems offline. Humans can handle extreme temperatures better than most species," she replied. "I can do this." Reluctantly, Ekvar agreed. "I'll go with you to direct the repairs." As they made their way to engineering, Jiho received a response on his secret communicator. It was from his sister, Min. The message was clear. "Corbin is part of a group called Purity of Space. They believe Deathworlders like us will bring violence to the galaxy. Be careful. They'll do anything to make humans look bad." Jiho showed the message to Tyke. "We need to find the director." They found Director Corbin in his private office, calmly packing personal items. "You're leaving?" Jiho asked from the doorway. Corbin barely looked up. "Evacuation protocols. Senior staff go first." "Before the cadets?" Tyke asked. His voice was calm, but his eyes were sharp. "The coalition needs its leaders," Corbin replied. "Unfortunate accidents happen in space." "This was no accident," Jiho said. "We know about the Purity of Space group. You sabotaged the station." Corbin's face hardened. "You Deathworlders don't belong here. You're too unpredictable, too violent. I simply arranged a small malfunction to show everyone how dangerous it is to have humans in the coalition." "People could die!" Jiho shouted. A necessary risk to protect our peaceful society from contamination, Corbin said coldly. What happened next surprised even Jiho. Tyke, always quiet and thoughtful, moved with shocking speed. Before Corbin could react, Tyke had pinned him against the wall. Record his confession, Tyke told Jiho, who quickly activated his communicator. Meanwhile, in engineering, Sunmi was working frantically to repair the damaged systems. The temperature was over 40 degrees Celsius and rising, but she kept working as sweat poured down her face. Commander Ekvar was struggling with the heat. His species evolved on a cold world, and he was close to collapse. "You should leave," Sunmi told him. "No," he gasped. "My responsibility." When Ekvar finally fell unconscious, Sunmi continued working alone. Her hands were burned from touching hot metal, but she didn't stop. "Almost there," she whispered as she reconnected the final coupling. The power surged back online, and the station shuddered as the stabilizers began to work again. Sunmi smiled weakly before collapsing next to Commander Ekvar. When Jiho and Tyke brought Director Corbin to the control center, they found Ambassador Erlon watching the emergency teams at work. "What is the meaning of this?" the ambassador demanded. Jiho played the recording of Corbin's confession. The ambassador's glowing skin dimmed in shock. He was willing to risk the entire station just to discredit humans, Jiho explained. At that moment, reports came in that the station was stabilizing. Sunmi had succeeded. "Where is she now?" Jiho asked urgently. "Medical bay," replied a technician. "Both she and Commander Ekvar suffered heat exposure." As the crisis subsided, Jiho looked around at the mixed teams of aliens and humans working together to restore the academy. Something had changed. The aliens were no longer looking at the humans with fear or disgust, but with a new emotion Jiho hadn't seen before. It was respect. Ambassador Erlon approached Jiho slowly. "Perhaps," he said quietly, "we have misjudged what it means to come from a death world." 3 days had passed since the Academy crisis. The station was now back in stable orbit, and most systems were working again. The mood had changed completely. Jiho walked through the corridors and noticed how alien cadets no longer moved away from him. Some even nodded in greeting or called his name. In the medical bay, Sunmi was finally allowed to leave. Her hands were still wrapped in healing bandages, but the doctor said she would recover fully. "Commander Ekvar is asking for you," a medical assistant told her. Sunmi found the commander sitting up in his bed. His gray skin was still pale, but he looked much better. "Cadet Kang," he said as she entered. "The doctors tell me you stayed in engineering even after I passed out." Sunmi nodded. "Yes, sir." "The temperature was high enough to cause permanent damage to most species," he said. "Why did you stay?" "I could handle it longer than you could," she replied simply. "Earth has many places that hot. Humans adapt." Ekvar was quiet for a moment. "You saved the station. You saved all of us." "I did what any human would do," Sunmi said. "That," said Ekvar, "is what I'm beginning to understand." In another part of the station, a special tribunal had gathered. The coalition had sent high-ranking officials to hear testimony about Director Corbin's actions. Jiho and Tyek sat together, waiting to be called. Hyun paced nervously nearby. "What happens now?" Hyun asked. "They decide the future of humans in the academy," Tyke replied. Ambassador Erlon approached them. He looked different now, less stiff, more thoughtful. "The tribunal is ready for you," he said. Inside the chamber, 7 alien officials sat behind a curved table. Director Corbin was there too, under guard. His face was hard with anger. Jiho told the story of how they discovered the sabotage. Tyke played the recording of Corbin's confession again. "We believed humans were too dangerous to join the coalition," Corbin said defiantly. "Their world made them violent and unpredictable. One of the tribunal members, a floating orb-like alien, spoke up. Yet when the crisis came, it was these violent humans who saved countless lives. At great risk to themselves, added another official. To everyone's surprise, Commander Ekvar had entered the room. He stood with the help of a medical device, but insisted on speaking. "I have served the Coalition for 30 years, he began. In that time, I developed certain prejudices about Deathworlders. I believed species from such planets must be savage and uncivilized." He looked directly at the human cadets. "I was wrong. What I saw during this crisis was not savagery but courage, not violence but sacrifice. These human cadets did not hesitate to risk themselves for others, even for those who had treated them poorly. That is not the mark of a dangerous species. That is the mark of an honorable one." The tribunal's decision came the next day. The 4 human cadets were called to the main hall, where all the academy gathered. "The Coalition has reviewed all evidence regarding the recent events," announced the head of the tribunal. "Director Corbin will face punishment for his actions, which endangered countless lives." The official turned to the human cadets. "As for the humans from Earth, we have come to a decision about their place in the Galactic Academy." Jiho held his breath. For exceptional bravery and service during a crisis, these 4 cadets are awarded the Coalition Star, the highest honor of the Academy. A murmur of surprise ran through the crowd. No first-year cadet had ever received this honor before. Furthermore, the Coalition has approved an expanded human cadet program. Earth will be invited to send more candidates next year. The hall erupted in applause. Jiho couldn't believe what he was hearing. Their place in the academy was secure. 2 weeks later, at a special ceremony, Jiho was asked to speak to the entire academy. He stood nervously at the podium, looking out at the sea of alien faces. "When I first came here, many of you were afraid of humans," he began. "You called Earth a death world, and you weren't wrong. Our planet is dangerous. We face storms, earthquakes, extreme temperatures, and once had predators that hunted us." He paused, looking at his fellow human cadets. "But those dangers shaped us. They taught us to adapt, to endure, and most importantly, to protect each other. Yes, humans can withstand poison that would kill other species. We can go without sleep, endure pain, and survive in harsh conditions. But those abilities aren't what make us strong." Jiho's voice grew more confident. "What makes humans strong is that we use those abilities to help others. On Earth, we learned that survival isn't about being the strongest alone. It's about making sure everyone survives together." The hall was completely silent now. "So yes, we come from a death world, but that world taught us the value of life. All life." As Jiho finished speaking, Commander Ekvar was the first to stand and applaud. Soon, the entire hall joined in. 6 months later, Jiho watched from the observation deck as a new transport ship docked at the academy. Inside were 20 new human cadets, the second class from Earth. "Nervous about being mentors?" Sunmi asked, joining him at the window. Jiho smiled. "A little, but they'll do fine." Hyun and Taek arrived too, along with several alien cadets who had become their friends. Together, they waited to greet the newcomers. As the new humans entered the academy, Jiho saw something remarkable. Instead of fear or suspicion, the alien cadets were welcoming them with curiosity and respect. In the command center, Commander Ekvar watched the scene on a monitor. Beside him, an official was studying data about Earth. "Their history is fascinating," the official said. "So much conflict and struggle, yet so much cooperation and progress, too." Ekvar nodded. "I've been studying it myself. Did you know humans have a saying, 'The strongest steel is forged in the hottest fire'? Their harsh world made them incredibly resilient." The official looked thoughtful. "Perhaps that's what the Coalition needs, For too long, we've known peace and comfort. We've forgotten how to face true challenges. The humans haven't, Ekvar replied, and they're teaching us to remember. Later that night, Jiho received a message from his sister Min. She had been accepted into the next class of human cadets. She would arrive at the academy in 1 year. Jiho smiled as he wrote back to her, "Don't worry about the aliens thinking we're strange. They're starting to understand now. Being from a death world isn't a disadvantage here. It's our greatest strength." As he looked out at the stars, Jiho thought about how far they had come. The aliens had learned an important lesson about Deathworld. Cadets. Humans weren't dangerous because they were violent. They were valuable because they were survivors. And in a vast and sometimes hostile galaxy, knowing how to survive and help others survive too was perhaps the greatest skill of all the end.